Going through a divorce, it's one of the toughest things anyone can face. The stress can just feel completely overwhelming, right? So in this explainer, we're going to break down where all that stress is coming from, and even more importantly, we'll get into the practical steps you can actually take to manage it and, start building your new life. Let's dive in.
And you know what? That quote is no exaggeration at all. If you're feeling the incredible weight of this, I want you to know you are absolutely not alone. This really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Divorce is so much more than just a legal process. It's this huge emotional and psychological thing. So, okay, let's try to pinpoint where that intense pressure is really coming from.
Okay, so here's the good news. We can actually make sense of all these feelings. It turns out that the stress of divorce usually boils down to three main sources. And just understanding what they are, that's the first step to feeling less overwhelmed and, honestly, more in control of your own life again.
And it's so important to get this. It's not just one thing causing all this stress. It's really like a perfect storm, isn't it? You've got the total restructuring of your daily life, you're dealing with all these different kinds of loss, and you're facing this massive challenge of personal change, all at the same time. So let's break these down and look at each one a bit more closely. So let's start with the first one, restructuring family life. What's so wild about this is how practical these stressors are. We tend to focus on the big emotional stuff, but honestly, just the day-to-day logistics of your life changing can be completely exhausting. Suddenly, all the chores and tasks that were split between two people, they're all on you. You're trying to figure out who's going to leave work when a kid gets sick, how to manage a budget that was meant for a totally different life, and then there's navigating those super awkward conversations with friends and family who might feel like they have to pick a side. It's a lot.
And then there's the second source, the experience of loss. And this is where it gets really deep. Because the loss is so much more than just the end of the marriage itself. You're mourning the loss of a whole life you built together, that sense of security, maybe even a home that you poured your heart into. And, for parents, that change in daily contact with your kids can be one of the most gut-wrenching losses of all. It really is like a cascade of goodbyes to the life you thought you had.
And that brings us to the third source, which, honestly, might be the biggest challenge of all, the challenge of change. Think about it. For years, a huge part of your identity was husband or wife. When that role is just gone, it can set off a major identity crisis. You're forced to ask these huge questions. Who am I now? What do I even want to do with my life? And those are not small questions, right? You're basically rebuilding your sense of self from the ground up, and that can feel terrifying, but I promise you, eventually, it can also be incredibly empowering.
Okay, so we've talked about why this is also stressful. Now let's shift gears and look at how that stress actually shows up in our day-to-day lives, in our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. Because becoming aware of your own personal stress signals, that is absolutely the key to being able to manage them.
All right, take a look at these two columns here. On the left side, you've got the behavioral changes. These are the things you might do. Maybe you're crying more, pulling away from people, or your sleep is just a total mess. And then on the right, you have the thoughts and feelings, the internal stuff. That constant worry that just won't shut off, feeling down on yourself, or that awful, crushing feeling that you just can't cope. What's really key to see is how connected these are. A lot of times, a behavior on the left is a direct result of a thought or feeling on the right.
So just take a second. Look back at that list. Do any of those feel familiar to you? Maybe a few? And listen, if they do, recognizing your own patterns is not a sign of weakness. It's the exact opposite. It's you taking the first, most powerful step toward getting back in the driver's seat. It's you saying, okay, I see what's going on here. Now what am I going to do about it?
And that question, what am I going to do about it, brings us to the most important part of this whole conversation, your toolkit. We're not talking about abstract theories here. These are real, concrete, actionable things you can start doing literally today to bring that stress level down and start feeling like you're in command of your life again.
A huge part of this is about controlling your environment. And look how simple but powerful these ideas are. When your whole world feels chaotic, creating even a little bit of structure can be a total lifeline. Instead of staring at a mountain of things you have to do, just set a priority and tackle one thing at a time. And this one's huge, learning to say no. That's not being selfish, not at all. It's being strategic. It's protecting your energy, which is probably your most precious resource right now. Okay, let's talk about anger. Because feeling angry during this, it's completely 100% normal. The trick isn't to pretend you're not angry, it's about learning how to manage it. It's a skill. So look at this sequence. Step 1, tell someone how you feel before you explode. Step 2, if you need to, just walk away from the situation until you cool down. Step 3, do something physical. Go for a run, punch a pillow, work off that pent-up energy. It's a super practical, proactive method that you can actually practice and get better at.
So, everything we've talked about so far has been about those immediate coping skills, right? Getting through the day. But healing is more than just getting through the day. It's a much longer journey of adjustment. This is where we start to shift our focus from just surviving the crisis to actively, intentionally building a new, meaningful life. Now, you're going to see a number on the screen, 2 to 3 years. And I want to be really clear about this. Please, please do not look at that as some kind of deadline you have to meet. It's the exact opposite. It's permission. It's permission to be patient with yourself. Research suggests that for most people, it takes about this long to really adapt to all the changes that come with a divorce. So give yourself some grace. This stuff takes time.
So if that's the timeline, what's the roadmap for the journey? Well, it's these 3 tasks of adjustment. And notice the progression here. It starts with acceptance, then it moves into the practical stuff, like balancing your new life as a single person, maybe a single parent, and finally, it's about shifting your goals to be future-focused instead of stuck in the past. That first task, accepting that the marriage is over, is the foundation for everything else. You really can't build a new, stable life on the cracked foundation of the old one.
But what does accepting the divorce really mean? It's so much more than just saying the words, "it's over." It's an active process. It means actually working through the anger until you can make some kind of peace with it. And it also involves doing some really hard but really necessary work of looking at your own role in how the relationship ended. And listen, that's not about blaming yourself. It's about learning, so you don't end up carrying the same patterns into your future relationships.
And this, right here, is what moving on actually looks like in real life. It's not about magically forgetting the past. It's about actively building a future that you're actually excited about. So when you find yourself getting curious about a new hobby, or you sign up for that class you've always wanted to take, or you feel that little spark of readiness to meet new people, those are the signs. Those are the signs that you're successfully shifting your focus forward.
Wow. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? We've talked about where the stress comes from, how to spot your own signals, and the long-term journey of adjustment. It really is a journey, and just like any journey, it doesn't happen all at once. It happens one single step at a time. The whole thing is just about keeping that forward momentum going, no matter how tiny those steps might feel on any given day.
And let's end with this quote because it really says it all. Baby steps toward adjustment can sometimes be as significant as giant steps. The important thing is to keep moving forward. So please, don't measure your progress against anyone else's journey. Some days, just getting out of bed is a giant step. And on other days, you might tackle something bigger. Both are valid. Both are progress. The goal isn't to be perfect. It's just to be persistent. Keep taking those steps and trust that you are moving toward a new and even stronger version of yourself.